Hello and welcome to hoursin. Apologies for the Fallout 1 video being delayed. If you didn't see my community post, here's the gist of it. The voiceover ended up being 20 minutes or so long after being cut down, and I realized that I didn't have anywhere close to enough footage. I attempted to record more, but for whatever reason now, NVIDIA's record function seems to make all of the videos just black screens. I'm assuming because it's an older game. So I thought I'd just move on for now and return to Fallout 1 when there's a slow week sometime. With that out of the way, welcome to the tactical stealth-based shooter known as Sniper Ghost Warrior Contracts. Developed and published by CI Games, formerly called City Interactive. More information about Sniper Ghost Warrior Contracts can be found in the description. I honestly wasn't too sure what to expect with this one. I looked at the two games that were free on Epic this week, and I figured that while I don't like the sound of either game, I think I'd rather be a sniper than a football manager. Once I actually booted it up though, I had a really great time. We start the game with a bit of an exposition dump, setting the stage for the spy thriller that we're about to take part in. Essentially, the citizens of Siberia have split off from Russia following a war of independence. However, the prime minister of this new independent Siberia hoarded much of the country's wealth between his family and friends and himself, and the people of Siberia felt betrayed once again and formed a militia called the Siberian Wolves to wage war against their unjust government. We are a mercenary codenamed Seeker, and we've been contracted by a mysterious third party represented by a character referred to as Handler. We are given a high-tech mask that, in addition to allowing direct communication with our handler at any time, also grants us a few combat enhancements. But before we get our first real contract, we need to learn our equipment. We're dropped into a small tutorial/shooting range, and it's here that we get our first taste of this game's gunplay. Obviously, with Sniper in the title, our main weapon is going to be a sniper rifle. Like in most games, you can aim down the scope, adjust the zoom, hold your breath to stabilize, that kind of thing. But SGWC takes it a little bit further. There are other things to worry about besides our crosshair being centered over our target. Distance, wind, and bullet drop-off also play a part. To gauge the target's distance, you can either align their approximate height to a matching line on the scale in the upper left quadrant of the scope manually, or you can switch your mask to binocular mode by hitting T, then tagging the target by aiming the binoculars crosshairs at them. The mask will then give you an exact distance from the target. I would recommend doing it that way more often than not, because the tracking actually persists even if you aren't intending to use or adjust the sniper rifle. Speaking of adjustments, the reason why we want the approximate distance from the target is so that we can compensate within our rifle's scope. By using Q and E, we can calibrate the scope based on distance so that when we fire at range, we don't have to worry as much about the Y-axis. It does take a little bit of getting used to, but I really like that system. It actually makes you feel like you're an elite assassin when you pull off a perfect shot laying prone in some bushes at like 200 meters. After that, we get to try out a few special bullets and items. Explosive bullets, remote sniper turrets that can automatically shoot targets you've tagged in binocular mode, that sort of thing. Then, we move on to our first real mission/contract. A multifaceted endeavor taking place at a former Soviet military research facility deep in the Altai Mountains. Intelligence from an agent planted in the facility suggests that its leader, General Dmitry Ivanovsky, has completed human trials on a biological weapon that he intends to use to secure Siberia's disputed border territories. We need to infiltrate, obtain the general's plans, destroy any test results regarding the biological weapon, determine if our double agent is alive, and finally, terminate the general himself while securing any samples of the bioweapon. Of course, none of this is an easy task, and the facility is huge. We'll need to do things like climbing, crawling, cutting power, damaging security cameras, silently taking out guards and hiding their remains. All the usual spy stuff. At this point, the game really opens up, letting you approach the level in whichever way you'd like to. Though, using the map sort of shows you where some of the objectives are located. All the classics make an appearance here, like throwing rocks to lure and distract enemies, silent melee takedowns and interrogations, having everything go sideways and having to shoot your way out while alarms are blaring behind you. There's also lots of interesting weapons and items you can find and use, though I haven't really had the chance to use a lot of them since you only have limited inventory space at this stage of the game. Overall, I would absolutely recommend giving this a go, especially while it's currently at a price of $0.00 on the Epic Store right now. If you like the Hitman games or even some of the older James Bond single-player campaigns like Nightfire, GoldenEye, I think you'll have a good time. I certainly am at this point. That's all for now. You've been watching hoursin. What did you think of Sniper Ghost Warrior Contracts? Have you heard of or played any other games in the series? What about Hitman, or even the classic James Bond games? Do you have memories of riding the gondola at Skyrail and 007 Nightfire with your friends? Feel free to let me know in the comments, and as always, thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video.